Lesson 3 for January 11 through 17, From Mystery to Revelation, read by Dr. Percy Harrold. Friday, January 17. It is instructive to note that the image of Daniel 2 is made of gold and silver, which are metals related to economic power. The image also is made of bronze and iron, which were used for tools and weapons, and of pottery, which was used in the ancient world for literary and domestic purposes. Thus, the image provides a vivid portrayal of humanity and its accomplishments. Most appropriately, the distinct anatomical parts of the image convey the succession of world kingdoms and the final disunity that will prevail in the last days of human history. The stone, however, is distinctly depicted as something not made with human hands, Daniel 2:45, a powerful reminder of the supernatural end that will come to this temporary world and all its human accomplishments. Although Daniel H. Shea writes in his book Daniel, A Reader's Guide, published in 2005 by Pacific Press, page 98, reads, "To the unaided human eye, human history may appear to be a chaotic interplay of forces and counterforces. Daniel assures us that behind all of this stands God, looking down upon it and moving within it to achieve what he sees best." And that brings us to our 3 discussion questions for this week. 1. How good to know that amid all the chaos and suffering of this world, God is ultimately in control and will bring everything to a glorious end. Until then, what is our role in seeking to do all the good that we can to help alleviate the suffering that exists in this fallen world? 2. How do we explain Daniel and the captives working so closely with and apparently loyally to a pagan leader who has done so much damage to Daniel's own people? 3. As we saw, some have argued that the stone cut out without hands refers to the spreading of the gospel to the world. That can't be right for a number of reasons, including what Daniel 2:35 says, which is that the stone will crush the previous nations, and that the wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found. That did not happen after the cross. Furthermore, some attempts to identify the stone kingdom with the church fail to note that the stone kingdom replaces all other forms of human dominion. It is a kingdom that encompasses the whole world. Therefore, only Jesus' second coming can set in motion the process portrayed as the climax of this prophetic dream. Why, then, is the second coming of Jesus the only sensible interpretation of what the stone does in the end of days? Inside Story. Our mission story this week is titled Book Untouched by Fire, and again it's by Andrew McChesney of Adventist Mission. A Nigerian student lost his possessions in a red-hot blaze that melted even the iron pipes in his apartment. But he was shocked to find one item undamaged, a copy of Ellen White's book, The Great Hope. The student, Olujide Oluwatobi Igbinyemi, immediately read the book and rushed to the local Seventh-day Adventist church, whose members had given him the book on a literature evangelism Sabbath. "This book is great, wonderful," Igbinyemi told astonished church members, holding up his intact copy of The Great Hope, an 11-chapter abridged version of The Great Controversy. "I have not seen this type of book," he said. "The miracle made me to finish reading the book." The church members presented the book to Igbinyemi 30 in Edi, a city located about 135 miles or 220 kilometres northeast of Nigeria's capital, Lagos. Church members, working in cooperation with the World Church Mission to the city's goal to distribute 1 billion pieces of literature in cities around the globe, hand out thousands of copies of The Great Hope across Nigeria's state of Osun every quarter on Great Hope Day, a special Sabbath set aside for sharing the book. said Joseph Adebomi, president of the Adventist Church's Osun Conference. But then Igbenyemi, a student at a Nigerian institution of higher education called Federal Polytechnic, EDI, went for a trip in September 2018, leaving the book in his rented one-room apartment. When he returned, he found that a fire had gutted the house. His school books, furniture and mattresses were destroyed. Even iron melted, Adebomi said. The cause of the fire was not immediately clear, but as Igbenyemi sifted through the ashes, he found the great hope. That day, he eagerly finished reading the book, which uses history and prophecy to make sense of the chaos unfolding in today's world. Then he ran to the Adventist Church to share his testimony. "You do not know the book you are sharing," he declared, according to Adebomi. "The power of God is in it." Igbenyemi, pictured, knelt before the congregation and praised God. The story is touching hearts and increasing people's faith in Nigeria's state of Osun. "I have heard about Bibles not burning in fires, but I've never heard about any other book not burning," said Onolapo Ajibade, a retired pastor and former executive secretary of the West Central Africa Division, whose territory includes Nigeria. He lives in Enisa in Osun State. "This miracle has increased my love for the Spirit of Prophecy books, and I personally need to apologize for the pronunciation of some of those names. If you've heard your name read incorrectly, please understand that I live in a totally different part of the world, and I'd love to meet you someday." This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind and Hearing Impaired, Christian Record Services for the Blind, the Sabbath School Department, and Hope Channel. You can also listen on the official Sabbath School 4 app and the Apple iTunes app, Sabbath School with Percy Harrold. Remember, God is always faithful.